thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yo, should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This show that you are watching right now is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being a new comic book day. And as part of this show, we talk about some news and current events. I typically have a guest or two on to help me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics and collectibles, and we will have a guest on tonight's show. But also, I go to the chat to find out what it is that you all may have picked up at your LCSs earlier today. And if you happen to read something that was really good, we want to know what it is that you read so that we can put it on the top of our reading stacks. And potentially you picked up a book recently that is not a new book, but it is a new to you book. We want to hear about that as well, because we want to live vicariously through you spending money and us retaining a couple of bucks. So make sure that you let us know if you picked up something good. If you want to shout out your LCS, feel free to do that. I have a couple of books that are here on the desk that I want to show you guys that showed up today. But a little bit later in the show, I'm actually going to do a Patreon giveaway. Every single month, I try to do something for those people that support the channel by giving them an opportunity to get something back, right? In addition to the great content that I release here on the channel. So this month, I'm giving away this. This is a hardcover copy of Excellence. I don't know how many pages it is, but it is thick, it is heavy, it is nice. I picked this up when I supported their Kickstarter. They sent me a couple of copies of it. And so we're going to give away one copy tonight to one lucky Patreon member, and potentially more will be given away to a Patreon member. Huge shout out to all of those people that are subscribers of the channel, that have a membership here on the YouTube machine. And you will know who those people are because their names show up in green, not because they are envious, but because they are supporters of the channel. I appreciate them. I appreciate Patreon. I appreciate the people that tune in every single week to be part of the live stream that we do here, and also those folks that watch it on replay. So Transformers 2 says, Trev, I want to go to the chat here in a second. If you picked up some good stuff, let me know what you picked up today. These books arrived. This is G.I. Joe, and don't get excited. That's not the first issue. It's the 301st issue. They put it in really small print there off to the side, but this is a continuation of the G.I. Joe, the G.I. Joe story arc from back in the day. Issue number 301 has shown up here at the house. Huge shout out to Skybound for sending that over to me and letting me check it out. The Deviant is another book that showed up from them. And there's also Dutch. I have no clue what Dutch is about, but that looks a little gory. It looks to be a little gory. So the Deviant, Dutch, and also G.I. Joe issue number 301 are the books that showed up here earlier today. A couple of cool books. I did read the G.I. Joe book. I read it. I will tell you, my challenge with 301 is that I never read 300. I never read 300, so I need to go read 300 to know what the heck was happening in 301. But what was cool is at the beginning of 301, they actually provided like a quick overview of who Cobra Command was, who G.I. Joe was, et cetera, et cetera. So that was super helpful just to remember some of that stuff, because it's not always top of mind. But I feel like I need to go read issue 300 to understand 301. But there you go. 301 on the dog tags. Matt Woods, it's good to see you, brother. Welcome to the live stream. My brother, my Canadian brother Mark is on the schedule. What If Tomb of Dracula, Hollywood special, Mothman 3, Destiny's Gate. etc., etc. Bro, have you read Gods 2? Let me know what you think of Gods 2. I read Gods 1. First part of it, I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Second part, I was like, maybe not so. Let me know what you think of issue number 2. I may have to check it out. I just ordered the Deviant, the Deviant for next week. There you go. There you go. Jason's on it. If you beat me to it, brother, let me know how it is. Let me know how it is. Huge shout out to the folks at Skybound. The Deviant actually is from James Tynion. It's a Christmas story, which is kind of weird. It's a Christmas story from James Tynion called the Deviant. I promise you it's going to be interesting. Dutch is about going out to dinner and everyone paying their own way. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that, Philtastic. But hey, you sometimes have to take a shot on goal. And maybe if you do, you'll score. Herman's up in here, picked up the Madness from AWA issues 1 and 2. There you go. Cool book. It is good to see you up in the live stream, brother. My Steve is on the board. Steve says 13 books for him today, including a facsimile of Wonder Woman #1. He said he killed the wallet. Oh, that book specifically killed the wallet at $7 by Gods. Gods #1, $9.99. That hurt. That hurt the wallet. So that picked up Transformers 2. I've not received that. Picked up Transformers 2. Anybody read Transformers 2? Let me know. Batman 140, World Tree, trade paperback from the LCS Nirvana Comics. That's what's up. Oh, he says right there, Transformers #2 is great. Everyone should be reading it. The Energon universe is exciting. It is an exciting universe that they are creating. What is it? I don't buy new comics anymore. I respect it, brother. You got to do what you got to do. My neighbor known as Neil is in the house. Neil, it is good to see you from the Tiny Onion. Tina has made note of the wall. There's a little bit of heat back there. There's a couple of things, and I think they are also in the order in which they were released, in the order in which they were published. I do believe that is the order of the wall back there. I needed to change out that other wall. The X-Men wall was getting a little stale, so I decided to go with a couple of bangers. Scrolling through, I love the leg lamp and A Christmas Story about. There you go. Scrolling through. Neighbor Neil, good to see. For those that are attending GarageCon this weekend, 11/11, Neighbor Neil, I do believe, will be in attendance. We are going to get him a name tag that says, "Hello, my name is Neighbor Neil." Kazar Savage Land #1, the Peach Momoko, there you go, says that it is gorgeous. William, welcome to the live stream. Gunny, the Gunny is in the house. Holidays coming. Buying comic books on the back burner for now. I respect it. Gunny Camacho is in the house. TMX, Reggie says, scrolling through the chat when he is trying to avoid the... Well done. Well done. Sometimes I start reading something and I'm like, ooh, didn't mean to read that. Transformers 2 was a great read. Trev says, Transformers 1 was not bad at all, right? So I was keeping my fingers crossed that they were going to continue that energy with #2. And I'm hearing from at least 2 people that they have indeed maintained that. That's pretty good. Yes, God's #2. Well, okay, there we go. Not new concept, he says. I was on first part, I was on board. Second part, I was like, I don't know about this. Picked up the Immortal. That was a really good read. Pastor, the Immortal Hulk, that was a pretty good read. So fingers crossed that you enjoyed that. I just gave you my review. My review is that I thought the intro was great because it gave everybody a little refresher. But as I read this issue, I need to read 300 to understand what is happening in 301 because the G.I. Joe is a continuation of what happened before, right? That's the way that they're positioning it. And I never read 300, right? I think the last real G.I. Joe that I have is 155, and that was Larry Hama's last one. I have in the 100K collection some other G.I. Joe, but I never read any of that stuff, right? So I have no clue what happened in 300, so that makes it a little bit of a challenge to read 301. Unlike with Transformers, it almost is like they're starting again And so you're able to just jump into the story not knowing what's going on, because heck, they don't even know what's going on. So it made it a little bit easier to get over that one. Thankfully, brother, in my neighborhood, you cannot stick your head out the window and see anybody. Like, super thankful for that. I like Neil, but I don't like Neil that much that I want to see Neil when I look out my window. That's great. It doesn't work that way, sir. It does not. It does not work that way. Matt Woods is on the board. Darth Vader 40, ASM 37, Spawn Scorched number 23. Kingpin, it is always good to see you, brother. I think I owe you some money for some recent work, and then I think we have one project that we need to continue. I've been meaning to send you a message, man, but the days get away from me. Rush, my Canadian brother, unfortunately 2023 has not been a good year for comics investment wise. But brother, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. You sent me some PORN the other day from books you received back from CGC. I would say that you're good. You're good. You know, 2024, 2025 is going to be fantastic for you. It's going to be fantastic for you. Tina says she has one book that is on the wall. Nothing wrong with that. At least you're on the wall, Tina. At least you're on the wall. Which one is it? Which one do you have? I'm trying to see. I can't even guess. I can't even guess which one you have. So tell us, Tina. Jason's on the board. Star Wars High Republic, Dark Droids, Transformer 2, Batman 139, etc., etc. Picked up 18 books. Jason, look at me. Your LCS loves you. Your LCS loves you, no doubt about that. I'm really enjoying Void Rivals, no doubt about it. Void Rivals is a good read. It's not the most unique story. And in fact, when you reissue one, you can almost predict what's going to happen. I think it gets less predictable as you work your way through the issues. I think I have 4 around here. I have not yet read 4, but issue 1 was a little predictable, except for that end. Didn't see the end coming, even though, like, people said I should have remembered that Transformers was integrated. I forgot. But Void Rivals, overall, a good read, no doubt about it. Oh, there you go. I respect that. There you go. 300 was a bunch of almost made the mistake of reading that one out loud there. Almost made the mistake of reading. Different story indeed, no doubt about it. Where can you park the RV at GarageCon? Send a message to neighbor Neil. Neighbor Neil will gladly allow you to park your RV for whatever period of time in his backyard adjacent to his pool. He is a very accommodating individual. I have a feeling Tina's like the next town over. Well done, Tina. She says the neighbor over, that's where you go. There you go. It does. You guys are awesome. I'm just shaking my head in agreement, like you can see me. I can. Like, I'm literally just having a conversation with you, Jason. It's just me and you and a couple of other. It's just me and you. Let me see. Frog Brawler's up in here. It is good to see you, bro. Next to the pods, is that adjacent to the large roll-off trash bin that you have in the front yard? Like, where would you want him to really put the RV? Is it between the pod and the trash can, or is it next to the pod or next to? Like, just let him know. Just let him know. I'm not touching that one. I am not touching that one. We're going to keep rolling. All right. So for those folks that are coming in a little bit late, I showed off a couple of books here that the folks over at Skybound sent over to me. G.I. Joe 301. I consider myself fortunate because I get a lot of these books either as PDFs to read or as hard copies sometimes before other people get them. And that's really cool. It's cool for me to be able to take a look at this stuff. So I appreciate Skybound hooking me up. And that's part of the reason why I show these books off. But it's also because I try to give these books back to the community as well. So I think I recently sent out for trivia night 6 or 7 bundles or something like that to people that participated in trivia night. So it's not like I hoard all the books myself. I give them away. And in fact, for people coming to GarageCon this weekend, we're going to probably have some giveaway books as well from the folks over at Skybound. If you are interested, if you are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area and you're interested in coming to New York Comic Con, make sure you head over to regiecollects.com, click on the GarageCon tab, and you can register. If you do not register, you will not have an address to come to GarageCon. That is the way that it works. All right, so I want to jump into a story real quick, a news story. And I'm going to do this ever so briefly. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we have spoken repeatedly on the channel regarding artificial intelligence, right? And that the art of AI is one of the sticking points that is actually happening in Hollywood. It was happening with the writers. I think it's also happening with the actors. AI is something that people aren't very happy about. And this is just one of many articles that you can find online related to creative types and others, honestly, pushing back against the use of artificial intelligence. You can see a little bit of a depiction here that is kind of interesting, right? If you read into that image, there's something there. But I want to scroll down and talk about a couple of quotes from this thing. This is an artist talking. He says, "I think a lot of us who studied and worked for years to achieve our style and our signature process felt offended by the idea we would just become something like an Instagram filter for people to apply to their AI prompts," Moore said. He was irritated because his studio's hand-drawn animation was being reduced to superficial cheat code. So essentially, his artwork that he worked hard on was being pulled into an AI generator to essentially teach the AI to create art, to teach it literally how to either replicate someone's style or to create an amalgamation of multiple styles to maybe create something unique, to be determined what people think of that. But he says Moore shared his views. Moore's view is shared by many professional illustrators and other artists who think the rise of AI images, particularly within the past year, poses a creative invasion. He says, "I felt like it's a violation of the soul, to be honest." He goes on to say, "My work, like every other artist, is informed by my lived experiences and my education and my life, and therefore it is deeply personal." So a lot of artists feel, I think, this way, right? Their images, their artwork is being essentially scraped by these large engines and sucked into a database, and it's being used to essentially we're talking millions of images being used to teach the AI engine to create. That's essentially what it is. And again, a lot of artists, a lot of creative types, actors, writers, a lot of people are pushing back on this. And there is a fear, I think, with illustrators and cartoonists, etc., that they may at some point be replaced. They may be replaced literally by a computer that is going to do what they do cheaper and faster. And so all the years that they spend honing their craft will potentially be for naught. And so there is a tremendous amount of fear out there in the market. But while I was at New York Comic Con, I was able to overhear a conversation with someone that captured my attention because they seem to have a contrarian viewpoint to what is commonly thought by creative types, that AI is the enemy. And I was immediately like, I've got to get this person on the show. And so it took me a little while to get my schedule together to be able to invite them on. But I want to welcome to the show this guy right here, Tilla Vision. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, Reggie. Thank you so much for having me today. And it was great to meet you briefly at New York Comic Con. And then afterwards, like within a week, you showcased two of my books, Musk vs. Duck, which was assisted by AI, and AI for Prez, my new book, which was assisted by AI. And I was beyond hyped to see you talk about it. It doesn't matter if you're supporting it or you're against it, but just for you to talk about it meant a lot to me. And I just really appreciate you and your platform and the fact that you take your platform to do that. So thank you. And it's great to be here.
It's my pleasure, brother. But you came out taking shots, though. I mean, you literally have a hat on that says AI for prayers.
My green screen's messing up. Hold on. All right, there we go. Now we good. Okay, hit it.
Just taking all kinds of shots. I love it.
Yeah.
So
Shots galore. Bow, 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 bow. I'm here. Let's let them off. Extra clips.
You are exactly like you were at the con. I love it. So what Tilla, what is your background? Are you a traditional artist? Are you more graphic artist?
I'm a true artist. I'm a true artist. When I was a kid, there was a term that rang out in my head. I want to be a true artist. And that to me is somebody that will give everything for their art, and they know nothing other than to be an artist. And that's all I ever wanted to be. And that's all I've ever been. I've never had a boss. I've made money off of my creativity from the age I was 15 when I started DJing. And, I would DJ nightclubs, and then I started producing music when I was 21 years old. Me and myself, Alex Fitz, we had a production group called the Kick Drums, and we recorded Kid Cudi's demo tape out of Cleveland, followed by productions for 50 Cent and Scarface. And so I was a music producer for about 10 years, producing for all your favorite hip hop artists and otherwise, before getting involved with a music streaming platform, one of the first music streaming platforms called livemixtapes.com, where a lot of your favorite mixtapes and your favorite artists such as 2 Chainz, Future, Migos, they all come from, whether it was Live Mixtapes or the other guys, Dat Piff. From there, I began working behind the scenes and working on their mixtape release campaigns. And that would involve visuals. So I got into music video, creating music videos, directing music videos. I did one for a producer called Arab Music, if you're familiar with him. Amazing guy on the drum machine. Gangsta Boo, R.I.P. And then also, aside from music videos, doing animation. And animation got me into doing short form content on Instagram for the likes of Cole Bennett, Lyrical Lemonade. In the past 5 years, I've worked with everybody from Drake and DJ Khaled to SpongeBob. And from creating this short form content, when NFTs came around, it was that's what NFTs are, is these short little video clips almost. And my skill set specifically worked out perfectly for that. So I created a new type of artists, and this came from my frustration in the music industry. I created a new kind of artist, an avatar artist, inspired by crypto, inspired by Bitcoin, where the avatar is decentralized, where everybody who contributes to the avatar has ownership. And I'm thinking about Kirby. I'm thinking about Stanley. I'm thinking about ownership, people having disagreements over the ownership of their creations later. Right. So now we have this decentralized avatar artist, and we created a comic book series around the avatar. His name is Little Bitcoin. We released it on crypto.com. We have 3 books out now, and we've made over $500,000 just on crypto.com, just releasing through the blockchain. And these are 3 comic books. I have a copy here. Let me just show you. Got the foil cover on it. We had to do it.
Gotta have foil.
All independently released too.
Gotta have foil. Yeah. Now I understand why you were walking around with your attorney at New York Comic Con. That explains a lot. I'm like, okay, so he's legit. He has a lot of stuff going on. And shout out to Vinny.
Shout out Vinny Kumar. Shout out my guy Vinny. Legend in 2 games.
Vinny and I had a good little conversation over there. Then he sent me a message a little bit after New York Comic Con and was like, hey, I'm just touching base with you. I was like, we are going to do it. I just need a little bit of time. Awesome guy. But let's talk about this, Tilla. So there seems to be a fear with illustrators, right? Artists, that they might be replaced by AI. Is that fear legitimate or misplaced in your experience?
In my experience, there will always be a place for them and what they love to do. There will always be a place for people that want something, a traditionally made comic, and the craft that, you know, it takes to the craftsmanship around creating that will always be appreciated. Similar to theater. People still go to Broadway. People still go watch theater. What's the one? Hamilton, things like that. But we have movies. And I'm sure when the movies came out, it was, oh, theater's done. No, why would you ever want to go sit in a room and watch people in real life when you could see it on screen with these creative edits and cuts? Probably scared the hell out of people for sure. And we still have theater. So it's just maybe not, it's just not as popular. Maybe it's a smaller section because now there's more, not that it's less popular, but there's just more going on, and that's going to take people's attention away. So, you know, as long as you're passionate about how you create stuff, keep creating that way. And there will always be an audience as long as you make something cool. But if some of the attention that was geared towards you at one time is now shifting, don't get mad. Don't, you know, hey guys, why are you having, now you're just being mad at other creators because whatever, they're getting a little bit of the spotlight. Instead, just focus on your own, you know, your own art, and try to be the best you can be and let them do their thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting analogy that you raise. I think oftentimes when there's something new that comes out that potentially is a little unknown, I think that there can be some fear in it. Yeah. But maybe when you take a step back and you take a deep breath, maybe you recognize that fear isn't fully justified. And that's kind of what I just heard you say, because I know some people like Mark, for example, that's in the chat. He's read a couple of AI comics, right? Like true 100%. And he's like, I don't know about this, right? None of your stuff, but he's read some other stuff that we've spoken about in the past. Yeah. And so to your point, you know, maybe now it's not quite there. Who knows what the future holds, but this idea of there will always be a place, I think is a relevant point to maybe make for these illustrators.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I would say, like, isn't this exciting? Like, are you not excited that there's a new look that's out there? When I go to a Comic-Con, when I go to my local comic store, I see a lot of the same, and I see a lot of people trying to do the same thing. That's why I was so excited about creating my little Bitcoin comic, because this was created all in 3D software. There's no, oh shit, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Got a little too excited.
Camera down. No.
But
comic fail. What's going on?
It's a party in here, dude. Okay, so as I was saying though, like creating comics in using different tools than what's normal. That's so exciting to me. Where some people, I guess maybe it's a turnoff, but to me, when in the 90s, when they went from creating everything hand drawn and everything to the digital look, there's a lot of, you know, there was a rough period of it looked really bad, and we look back on it and it's kind of you know, it didn't age very well. But it got to a point now where everybody creates comics digitally using Procreate or whatever, or like the duo tone, like they're doing all of that digitally. They're not going out and buying all that whole business anymore. So we're just in that period right now where it's like we're in that crappy period where there's a lot of experimenting being done, and experimenting to me is awesome. I get excited when I see people doing things that are different. When I see a book that I don't know how it was made, like it's a complete mystery. A lot of people ask me how I make my books. It's not just a prompt. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Well, I want to talk about that, because essentially what you just hinted at is maybe, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe people should look at AI, creators should look at AI as a potential tool that they can use to be creative, to express themselves in a slightly different way. Talk a little bit about that, and then maybe segue into how you have used AI to create the various comics that you've worked on, specifically this one. I want to talk about Musk versus Zuck that you signed for me. Talk about that.
You said potentially a tool. There's no potential about it. It is a tool by definition. That's what it is. We are creating AI. There are tools out there that utilize AI technology. I don't call them like they are not the AI, there are tools created that utilize AI within it. So, and some of those tools that I'm very excited about, Civet.ai, it's a avatar and style creation platform that is mind-blowing and going to completely change the game. Artists are going to be able to train their styles and sell them on a marketplace. So all of those worries of, oh, my stuff is being stolen, you're going to have a place. You know, we're in the Napster stage of everybody's getting their music stolen on the torrents and all of the we're in the Napster stage, but there will be the Spotify stage, and hopefully we'll learn from the Spotify and we'll be able to get better royalties and better cuts. And that'll have a lot to do with us creating our own platforms, maybe going directly to the artists. But until then, we do have platforms like Civet.ai. Another one is Lore Machine, which I'm working closely with them. You guys can check them out. And they are an amazing tool of you input your prompts and it creates all kinds of content around your prompts. So storytellers are going to benefit greatly from a Lore Machine, a Civet.ai. And these are just, there's hundreds popping up, and I'm just packing on my tool belt like Mega Man, like strapping up and becoming a superhero myself, an art superhero. You guys can become art superheroes too by powering up with these AI tools that allow you to fight the man. Trust me, dude. These big companies.
Who's the man first? Don't be pointing at me, but who's the man?
I was pointing at the camera at the man who's watching this video, not at you, Reggie, not at you.
The man is gonna get it. But go ahead. Who is the man?
I mean, you know, the big three. Like, you know, like there's a little guy. There's guys like me. I'm a do-it-yourself guy. You know, I'm an independent artist. Think about the manga studios and the anime studios that, you know, they got these guys working like slave work around the clock. They can't even see their families, and they have whole stables of them that are just like working like that around the clock. AI will alleviate a lot of that so that people can live their lives. They can enjoy their lives. They can get more productivity out of the work that they put in on a day. You know, my friends who I'm always unloading all my ideas on, and I just see them kind of like slowly getting sleepy and stuff. Now I just unload that on ChatGPT. It never gets tired. It's always ready to bounce back ideas back and forth with me all evening. And, you know, I think that works out for best for everybody.
Probably.
So,
you probably maintain better, healthier friendships as a result of using that app. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the insights that it's given me, you know, it turns art into a video game because I am interacting with it. It's pulling me into new directions that I didn't think of before. So I'm kind of like maneuvering a world that exists in my imagination, and the AI tools that I'm using are assisting me in kind of fly through that world. And it's addictive. It's fun. The amount of work and productivity that you can get out in a week. I mean, a lifetime's worth of work in a week. I'm a superhuman artist right now. And that to me has been so exciting this year and mind blowing. And for anybody out there that has worries about it or questions, maybe it's not your thing and just ignore it. But if you are a little interested, go down that rabbit hole and see what speaks to you, because it's not just AI and you either like it or you don't. There's thousands of tools. Something will speak to you and make your life easier or just really spark your imagination.
So for those folks that are coming in a little late, I'm having a conversation with Tilla Vision, who I met at New York Comic Con. He hooked me up with a couple of awesome comics that he, I guess, used AI to help him create this stuff. And he had a slightly different take on artificial intelligence. So I wanted to invite him on the show to talk a little bit about it. He's already mentioned 2 different AI attached tools that can be used by creators to enhance maybe some of the stuff that they're doing. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you specifically use these AI tools to help you create your comics? Do you want to give some folks a little bit of insight into that? Because you've already said it's not just putting prompts in and getting something out and now you've got a finished comic, but I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate.
Well, that is the secret sauce, but we're here and we're sharing, and you were so kind to join me to invite me on the show. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of inside information. Even though these are kind of like this is my sauce right here. So I do everything in 3D software. So I use Cinema 4D, the Re-Illusion suite, iClone, Character Creator. You guys that know what I'm talking about, you guys can start Googling this stuff or like rewind and do it. But the Re-Illusion suite, and these are all like positioning, so you can position your 3D characters. In the case of Musk vs. Zuck, which was a silly headline that I just picked up because everybody in the world is talking about it. And it was my way of shining a light on AI. I don't care about Musk vs. Zuck. I don't care who fights the boxing match, none of that. I just wanted to show people, and I knew that we needed a flashy title to get them to pay attention, and it worked. And now you can see what was accomplished in the time that they announced that they were going to do this whole thing. And San Diego Comic-Con, which was about 3 weeks. So within that 3-week time period, I made the book that's within your hands. So you can kind of get, we have proof of the time period it takes using this workflow to turn that around. And that includes print time too. So print time took like a week and a half or something.
Yes.
But so in the case of Musk vs. Zuck, I made 3D models of Musk and Zuck. So I had to create those two characters. And once I had created the 3D models, I put them in my 3D software. I choreographed the entire fight is choreographed. That's using existing motion capture. So I find motion capture from all over the place that I normally use in my animations. And so I animated a whole fight between them. And then I take a virtual camera and I fly, and I position it throughout the entirety of the fight, which lasted about like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I'm positioning my virtual camera and I'm taking snapshots of the angles that I really like. I take those snapshots and I run them through the AI with the style prompts that I'm looking for. And I just keep on running it until I get, the look that I really like. Export that, and then I have to separate all those images, and then I position them how I want them within the square, and I have to create the comic, the layout. The thing that I'm really interested in comic creation is the visual language of comics, how the panels transition from one to the next. Like even there's a part in Musk vs. Zuck where I do kind of like a silhouette style where they're fighting and it's just the silhouettes. That's Frank Miller. Like I'm, trying to borrow or be inspired by, classic, a visual storytelling through the art of comic books. It's not just write a prompt and plop it in a block. It's understanding how to tell stories within comics using that language, and then using the AI assisted images to, to help you along the way. So
but you're also giving an amazing nod to more traditional artists to acknowledge the work that, or the path that they laid that allowed us to get to this point.
Exactly. I try to pay homage as much as I can, and that's the fun thing about AI is the fact that like somebody can, in the context of a Kirby style versus like a Frank Miller, two different, say if I'm telling like a grim, gritty story, it might be fun to play in the world of Frank Miller, of course, tastefully. And with all of my art, I don't use artist names and prompts. I don't say Frank Miller style, I don't do that. I think that can be achieved through traditional means of, once I get the whole book kind of like positioned how I want, I go back in Clip Studio Pro or Manga Studio, which is kind of like the premier comic book software that I enjoy. And, I'll bring the finished images into Clip Studio, and then I'll draw over top of everything. And that's where I might, do like a silhouette, or I might like try to add like my style on top of everything. And then I add like the halftone on top of it all to just give it that comic book feel. And then after I'm done with the image and I have the final image, I run it through AI again. And I say, paint streaks, or, dripping paint, or splatter art, or, I add all these different, words in there to get a certain result. And then once I get that result, I'm not keeping everything on there because a lot of it looks like garbage, but I might take a little corner here and chop it up and just really like get that final finishing. It's like the sauce on the very end of it, So that's kind of how I approach every page. And I would say after creating these, it almost takes as long as drawing it. While you're doing it, you're like, oh my gosh, like if I was just drawing this, like I would have been done with this. Like why, because sometimes you won't get the images that you're looking for, or maybe the looks that you're looking for, or you get 5 different images, but you have to put them all together to get the best piece of this and the best piece of that and the best piece of that. And like, it's at a certain point, you really start getting tired. It's not the easy way. It's not the easy route. It's
not simply just plugging in a couple of words and comes out a finished comic with the words and all that stuff on the other end.
But it can be. It can be.
If you choose, but that's the difference. That's in what you are doing, maybe versus some of the stuff that Mark Andrews has read before, where it's like, did anybody proofread this before they, printed it? That might be one of the big differences. One of the things that you just kind of hinted at was almost like a limitation that you've chosen to put in place, and that you don't use an artist's name, a creator's name to get a look. You've almost drawn a line in the sand there.
Yeah.
Are there other lines that you would draw and here or recommend be drawn? And here's where I'm going. Yeah. There was a little bit of a scandal not that long ago where an artist passed away. And then very quickly, somebody came out and basically started creating artwork using his style. And when you look at his work and the AI generated, they were very similar. What are your thoughts on guardrails around the use of artificial intelligence?
If it feels like bootlegging, it's probably a bootleg. And bootleggers, we don't stand for that. Yeah. So I think, when the thing that I said about being a true artist, when I start feeling that integrity of like, this feels icky, this feels wrong, I feel like I'm taking from somebody. I feel that. I don't cross that line. That's where I draw the line, is where it starts feeling icky. Or somebody might call me out on something and say, hey, what's up with this? And if I missed that, then I make sure I do right by them. Like even with the Musk vs. Zuck book, got it completed. It's inspired by the Neil Adams Muhammad Ali versus Superman cover.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that you put after Neil Adams in the bottom corner. Like that's how people address those things when you do like a remix of somebody's book or whatever. Someone told me that before it went to print. Like one of the guys I work with added that to the bottom. I want to play by the rules. I'm not here to we're not here to disrespect, and if somebody takes issue with something, like it should be spoken about in a mature setting like this, where we can have conversations, because there's a lot of things that are being experimented with right now, and we can't just jump to conclusions and condemn something without talking about it and decide and saying where is the line, we're still figuring out where those lines are, so but
it's not question, but it sounds like you have a line though, which is important, or you at least have a couple of lines. But you were about to make a point before I interrupted you there. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, to answer your question, I don't use artist names in prompts. I wouldn't take an artist image and put it into an AI and remix their image into something that was unrecognizable. Yeah. Even though if it's unrecognizable, I don't know if that could be, like, I think about a lot of things in hip hop terms. Yeah. So, because I come from the sample world where we're sampling records. Yeah. And if you sample something like a record and you make it unrecognizable and you put it in your beat, they can still come after you and say, like, I think that there's a Kendrick Lamar song where they reversed a sample. I can't remember what the song was that they actually put in rewind, but they still had to clear it, even though it was in reverse. So I think if this was AI, if I took an image and fed it to the AI and I reversed all the colors and I flipped it and I did some stuff, I would still have to, I'm still using that as a base. So, maybe you could get away with it, just like in the hip hop world, like you get away with certain
Yeah.
things.
But you
And
know you're also getting away with it. You know what I'm saying? Like you know
Yeah.
you're taking a shot. But again, I think that the analogies that you're drawing between what you do with AI tools and hip hop is very interesting, right? Because hip hop artists borrow a lot. They leverage stuff that's already been created and they morph it and they tweak it and they play with it and they tease it and stretch it and, to your point, flip it until it's something that's different and maybe even truly unique. But that is artistry. And essentially what you've just demonstrated over the course of this is that you are indeed a true artist that uses his creativity in a new tool that has some foundations in AI. And that's maybe the way that people should be looking at it, instead of, I don't want to touch this. This is going to be replaced. This is going to replace me. Like, imagine if they had done that with Photoshop. As great as Photoshop is, right? Maybe, I don't know. A thought. You're smiling, so I want to pause for the thought.
Well, I think that look at AI as a collaborator, not a competitor. You know, you're not competing with AI; it's your collaborator. So if you can get in that mindset, then you know you're a little less standoffish, I guess. Of this thing is taking my job. It's like, no, it's trying to be your partner and help you be better at your job. That's you know, hopefully that alleviates some of the fear out there. But you know, I think that you know, looking at it, you know, in the beginning with like the hip hop, going back to the hip hop analogy, early sampling was looked at as, oh, they're just stealing records. Now artists wish that you would sample, like, oh man, that's another check for me. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing with this AI art thing. Yeah. Oh, you're stealing my style. But when the platform like a Civet.ai starts offering, you know, you can draw in this person's style, but you have to pay them $1 per page or something, they're going to want to be on that platform. They're going to want people to be creating using their IG filter, whatever, you know, the guy was saying, like, you know,
article,
but
that's actually a good thing. There's so many artists out there that struggle, especially older artists that struggle because, to your earlier point, they don't own it. Somebody, the mega company owns it, and they got a paycheck, they got crumbs. Right. I mean, you have billion-dollar movies being made right now, and the artist that created that character gets a check for $5,000 or $10,000. You know, I mean, that seems unfair in a lot of ways. So if AI, to your point, is going to evolve to the place where maybe there is some compensation that goes to these creators, that's not something to be fearful of. It may be something to be thankful for, you know?
The most important thing in the future is to have a style. Like, I can create using AI till I'm blue in the face, but it's not going to be my style, really. I mean, you can kind of pull a style from some of the books I've created, but I'm a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
It's much better to have a style that people can recognize immediately when they see it. That is more valuable than anything, because you'll be able to, and the people that can create multiple styles, that's going to be the new industry, is not just being an artist that, oh, I just have this one style that, you know, I just run into the ground. It might work for some people, like a Wes Anderson. Everybody does like the AI Wes Anderson stuff. He could do the Wes Anderson AI like website, like filter, and you know, make a ton of money just off of his one style of what he does. But if you can make multiple styles, you'll be able to profit off of those, you know, like do a style for every color, you know, like, oh, here's my red, here's my, you know, my red style, here's my green style. And then you train an AI on those styles and make them for sale, man. So all of your favorite artists that have a recognizable style, like you see, you collectors, I say you because I'm a creator. I don't collect. You guys, I have so much respect for you guys who can spot the styles. You know the artist right when you see the cover. You want to be that kind of artist, because you're going to be able to license your style and make money on it for eternity. Your kids, because this is all it's going to be backed by the blockchain in the next couple of years. There's going to be like the whole blockchain integration, and you're going to be secure. So we're in a little bit of a rough period and a little bit of experimentation, but I think that there needs to be more conversation between people that don't understand and people that have more insight.
Yeah.
And to find a common ground where everybody wins, because we can all learn something from each other. But you
have to be open-minded enough to have the conversation.
Yeah.
If you're just shutting it down, you're never going to see these opportunities, brother. We're chatting with Tilla Vision, and I'll be honest, Tilla, when I invited you on, brother, I had no clue where this conversation was going to go, and I am honestly blown away. I mean, just you've mentioned specific tools that creators can use. You've spoken about your secret sauce for actually creating your comics. You've highlighted ways that artists can actually make money. It's on the internet now forever. Not on blockchain, but it's on the internet forever. But you've also highlighted ways that artists can actually start to think about using AI to make money for the future. You've given some really great analogies as well. Anything that goes back to hip hop, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. You got me. But brother, what do you have coming up that you want people to know about? Shout out your social media so people can throw you a follow. AI for President. Let's go.
Yeah. My and thank you for the kind words, and I appreciate again you having me on here and your openness to having this conversation. My company is called Blank Canvas. My partner is actually Vinny Kumar, who you met. We're both like guys that came from the music world, or are in currently, he's very much still entrenched in the music world, but with a solid, decades long love for comic books and also a passion for technology. And we want to create comics that like you've never seen before and you've never experienced before. This is something completely different than what you see on the racks, because we're incorporating all the stuff that they are afraid to touch, because maybe the company's too big and they don't want to, take a different direction, or they don't want to confuse their audience. We're brand new. So the brand that we're establishing is a tech forward comic book company. And so you're going to see stuff like you've never seen before. And you might see, we already incorporate a bunch of QR codes into our book. So you can scan the QR codes. It takes you onto the internet. You can explore further. Got augmented reality infusion. I mean, it's like the new foil cover. Like we like all the bells and whistles, but we're not just doing what everybody else is doing. We're not just doing the foil cover. We're trying to make it more of a immersive experience. Like even I was watching an interview yesterday with Harmony Korine, who made Gummo and movie Kids. He was talking about film and how the modern movie is kind of like, or like what we grew up knowing as movies is kind of like not even existing anymore. What's emerging now is like video games and like more immersive and more just interactive experiences where film, and this is what Martin Scorsese is always like, what he's been arguing is the art form of movies is getting lost. Well, it is, because there's all this new technology that's getting incorporated that, it's becoming something new. And that's what he said. And comic books are following the same trajectory. And we are part of that. This is something new. And I
was on board with you. I was on board with you until you said Martin Scorsese. He's like an enemy. I was on board. I was on board until you started talking about Martin Scorsese, because he is like an enemy for comic book collectors right now. I see. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's kind of a dinosaur. So that's what I was saying is like, his way, his art form that he's holding so dearly onto, something new is happening. These video games are coming in. There's new stuff, and he's becoming a dinosaur. Don't be a dinosaur. And or if you want to, then cool, but don't be mad at the asteroid that's coming, or don't be mad at the human race that is the next evolution of what you love. Hopefully you can find some appreciation in both places, because I definitely do. I definitely like opening a book and seeing hand-drawn pictures, and I appreciate that. I'm not hating on anybody that doesn't want to jump on this new bandwagon or whatever. We are
we are doing something new, exploration, a lot of exploring, a lot of experimenting, and fun, just having fun, just creating new stories and really breaking new ground. So Blank Canvas is the company. You can follow us on social media, blank Canvas Comics on Instagram, Blank Canvas HQ on Twitter. We're still growing. I mean, we're a small company. It's the two of us. So it's like, juggling, all of the social medias and all that. But what you will see is the books. The books are coming out. We've already put out 3 books this year independently, for free. We show up at, we went to Comics Pro in February. We put out our first 100 books. We went to Comic-Con, San Diego. We put out our second free 100 books. That's where Musk vs. Zuck came out. And then New York Comic-Con, we re-released Musk vs. Zuck with some partners, and then we dropped another 100 free books with AI for Prez. So we're just giving this for the culture and seeing where it goes and seeing where the interest lies. Yeah.
Tilla Vision, it has been a pleasure to have you on, brother. Thank you for coming and dropping some knowledge. Again, didn't know where this conversation was going to go, but absolutely enjoyed it. I will be in touch, brother. Be well.
Would love to do it again, Reggie, and we'll see you hopefully again sometime IRL, maybe Los Angeles. You're going to be here for Los Angeles Comic-Con?
You never know where I'll show up.
All right. I will be surprised.
Take care, brother.
All right.
Oh, I cut him off. I got him at the very end. I didn't expect him to go back in. My bad. Tell him my bad. That was a fascinating conversation. I saw somebody comment that I have some of the best guests on. I invite people on with the hope that they will deliver some really interesting commentary. And that's exactly what we just received. We just received some amazing analogies and exploration of AI. So I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed it. I had a bunch of other stuff that I was going to talk about, but I got lost in the sauce of that conversation. So we are not going to get to those things. I am, however, going to do this quick giveaway of of this right here, Excellence. We're going to give away Excellence to one lucky Patreon member. I just rolled one die. Just roll one die because we don't have a super long list, so no need to make it all complicated. So we just rolled a 3, and I'm going to randomize this list of all the Patreon members to see who is going to get this giveaway. Let me scroll through this thing. We're going to do it again. I think that is now 2. The winner of the Excellence hardcover is Alan. And my man, Alan, out in California, is the winner of this hard copy of Excellence. Tyler Henderson is the second name. And I'm going to send him these 3 books right here. From the good folks at Skybound, I'm going to send him these 3 books right here. What is that? G.I. Joe, Deviant, and also Dutch. I'm going to send those out to him. And then for Jason, I'm going to give you Musk versus Zuck. So for the first 3 people that won, I'm going to be giving all 3 of them a little something. And I got to write this down because I will forget. Shout out to all 3 of these guys for hooking me up with being a member and supporter via Patreon. And I think I said Jason gets Musk versus Zuck. I think that's what I said. Sometimes even I get lost in the sauce. All right. With that said, we're going to wrap this up real quick. Let me look over here real quick. A couple of people, congrats to him. Seth, I'll send you a Twinkie. I don't know what that is about, but who doesn't love Twinkies? Scrolling through, Brian, I will see you this weekend at GarageCon, brother. Oh, and again, so for anybody that registered to attend GarageCon this weekend, you should have received an email with all the details via the GarageCon email address. It has not directions to the house, but the address to the house and other details related to GarageCon. I think we are opening the doors at 10 o'clock, technically the gates at 10 o'clock. If you arrive before that, there's guidance on what to do when the gates open. There's guidance on what to do there. I look forward to seeing you all. We will hopefully have a ton of comics available, a lot of dollar books, a lot of not dollar books, raw, and then also some nice slabs. If you watch any of the videos recently in which I do some unboxings, a lot of those books are going to be available, fingers crossed, for prices that are agreeable to folks. All right. So again, huge shout out to the winners tonight, Alan, Tyler, and Jason. I appreciate you three and all of the other people that support the channel via Patreon. I also appreciate the guys that are members here on the YouTube machine. All right. With that, we're going to wrap this up. If you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms with pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You fly and we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery. More like an audio graphic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray y'all grasp my letters. Nothing was meant to last forever.